Donald Trump just got brutally fact-checked by CNN fact-checker Daniel Dale. Now, as you probably know by now, Trump was giving a speech in North Carolina today. He was labeling it his economic speech, where I guess he was planning to talk about the economy, except he talked about anything but that. He spread conspiracies, the usual falsehoods, nothing of substance, but of course, he lied. It's all Donald Trump does. Every single sentence that he utters these days is likely a lie. So CNN and Daniel Dale dedicated a fact-checking time to Donald Trump, dedicating some time to holding him accountable, which is great. You certainly won't see any of this on Fox News or Newsmax or any right-wing media. So I'm genuinely happy and glad to see networks like CNN making sure to hold Donald Trump accountable. And as I said, this is just brutal for Trump. It's just fact-check after fact-check after fact-check. So here's that amazing clip of Daniel Dale just going in on Donald Trump.
We're going to start with Daniel Dale. Daniel, he's with me to fact-check some of what we heard. There was definitely policy. There was also stuff about laughing. What stood out to you, Daniel?
Yeah, so you did some of the fact-checking yourself, and I appreciate that. Everything you said was right. There were a bunch of claims that I think a lot of people would question, but that are subjective or uncheckable. He claimed California, where a whole lot of people happily live, is unlivable. He claimed that we're a banana republic in a third world country. I think a lot of people would dispute that. But also a whole bunch of claims, Phil, that were just flat out false. He again said that Kamala Harris was made the border czar, put by President Biden in charge of the border. That didn't happen. In reality, she was given a much more limited immigration-related assignment tasked with dealing with the so-called root causes of migration in certain Central American countries. He repeated his claim that she's allowed 20 million people into the country. Aside from the question of her own role and responsibility, the total number of border so-called encounters under Biden and Harris is 10 million, and far from all of those people were actually allowed in. That includes the people who were expelled from the country upon arriving at the border. He boasted of how good African-American poverty, the poverty level, was during his administration. He didn't mention it's actually fallen to a lower level, a new record, beating the Trump era record under Biden and Harris. He called switching candidates in the Democratic primary a minor form of cheating. It's not a form of cheating at all. It's allowed completely within the law and the rules. And he spoke of how the Inflation Reduction Act, he said, gave us record inflation. The U.S. has never had record inflation under Biden and Harris. Even the Biden-Harris peak of 9.1% was about a 40-year high, nowhere near the all-time high of about 23.7%. And that 9.1% number has come way down since then. It's now 2.9%. So whatever peak it reached before, nowhere near it now. And finally, he spoke of so-called very good polls for him coming out right now and claim we're leading. He might be seeing private numbers we're not seeing, but in the national averages of public polling, he's not leading. He's now trailing. Phil?
All right, Daniel Dale, I apologize for stepping on you. I'm glad I didn't get anything wrong.
No problem at all.
Always appreciate your expertise.
Yeah, I mean, that was fantastic. Very well done. But just listen to some of those lies that Donald Trump is coming up with and spreading in his speeches, that somehow he had lower black unemployment and that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are responsible for inflation, and that somehow, magically, VP Harris let in 20 million people into the country and President Biden, facilitated it. What? I mean, it's just complete nonsense. All of it is lies. Not a single word of Donald Trump's campaign is true. And the really sad thing, genuinely sad thing about these Trump rallies, these speeches and whatnot, is that his followers actually believe it. They hang on every single word he says. He could say with a straight face that over 50 million people have come into the country, 100 million people have come into the country, whatever word, whatever number you want to run with, his followers would believe it. They would defend him saying, no, he's right. Of course he's right. The numbers show that he's right, which is, of course, not true. I mean, his recent thing is that Kamala Harris's crowds are AI and that they're fake. This is him trying to cope with the, emotional damage he feels from Kamala Harris having bigger crowds than him. We all know that he's an egomaniac, and when his ego is just badly damaged just a little bit, just hurt a little bit, he freaks out and spreads all of these lies. But it's just so outrageous that these are the things that Donald Trump is saying, and his crowd and the people that watch him and love him just clap along and they pretend like it's totally normal. I mean, but we know why Donald Trump is doing this. We know why these lies are becoming more egregious and more frequent. It's because he's losing. It's because he's losing and he knows it. Donald Trump has returned to his worst instincts. Not that they ever went away, but he's certainly practicing them more now than ever. I mean, before this, he thought he was smooth sailing to a win, that his campaign was going to be victorious. He was already picking out an administration, trying to figure out where to put Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and whatnot. He was there mentally. And then comes along Kamala Harris, and now she's leading the polls. She's fundraising more. She has more volunteers, and her campaign is on fire, and his campaign is flailing. So what does he do? What's his response? Well, it's not to talk about policy. It's not to get out there and have rallies. It's not talking to voters directly or anything like that. No, he just lies. He's trying to scare people into voting for him, saying, oh, yeah, all these people are coming in under Kamala Harris, and if she is elected president, she'll continue this policy, and they're coming for your family. Because he can't win on any of the issues. He can't win on policy, can't win on substance, so he has to lie to people. Now, we know where this fear that Trump now has is coming from. We know exactly where it's coming from. And it's coming from one of his favorite metrics that he loves to cite at his rallies, that he cited today at his speech in North Carolina, and it's the polls. Just take a look at the polls and you can see why Donald Trump is lying more and more, and why this guy is going off his rocker. He's freaking out. He's having like a mental breakdown on stage every day with the speeches that he's giving. I mean, just take a look at the polls. Let's look at some here. Here's 538, kind of an aggregate of all the national polls recently. And look at that. Kamala Harris is now up by 2.6% nationally. She's at 46.2. Trump is at 43.6. And, previously in this same average, Trump was leading. He was beating Joe Biden, which is like still crazy to think about that anybody would choose Trump over Biden. But prior to this, that was the case. In this, at least this specific average, that Trump was leading. And now he's losing. And now he doesn't know how to react. And this is not just a 538 thing. This is not just an individual poll. No, it's everywhere. Take a look at this. Nate Silver, who used to work at 538, people consider him to be a polling guru and things like that. And look at this. Oh, in his model, all of the swing states have shifted toward Vice President Harris. Pennsylvania, 5.8 points toward VP Harris. Michigan, 8.5 points. Wisconsin, 5.6. Georgia, 9. Arizona, 12. Virginia, 4.5. I mean, all of these states are shifting toward VP Harris. And now Donald Trump is on the defense. He has to put some money into these states. He has to run ads and hire people and open field offices and things like that. These are things that he, resisted. He didn't want to do anything. He doesn't want to campaign. He wants to play golf at Mar-a-Lago and sit around and scroll on social media and yell at the TV all day. That's what Donald Trump wants to do. But now Kamala Harris has taken the lead. And the final poll, kind of polling, not poll, I should say, polling, is from Cook Political, very reliable polling agency. And look at this. This is the electoral map as it stands based on their polling. And you can see Kamala Harris winning some crucial states like Pennsylvania, like Michigan, like Wisconsin, and of course, Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia's tied. That's why it's yellow. Nevada, unfortunately, is a little red, too red for my liking. But, Georgia's tied, but she's winning all of these very, very important swing states, even flipping North Carolina in their polling average. And that's why Donald Trump is freaking out. That's why he's going on these tirades and lying so much, because he doesn't know what to do. He has no other tactic. He's very two-dimensional in his campaigning. We saw it in 2016, we saw it in 2020, and now we're seeing it in 2024. The tactics have never changed. That's what people have to understand. The tactics have never changed with Donald Trump. It's lie, lie, lie. Look, Trump doesn't talk about policy for a reason. He's not going up there and telling you how he's going to make your life better. He just had an economic speech today and didn't talk about the economy. He won't tell you what his stance is on reproductive rights. He won't tell you what he's going to do about child care and things like that. He won't tell you, because that's not part of the tactic. That's not part of the program or the goal of the Trump campaign. The goal of the Trump campaign, the tactic of the Trump campaign, is to lie, to pretend that his policy and that his unpopular record is not actually his record. It's just a liberal lie and things of that nature. That's his campaign. So let's be honest with ourselves that the tactics have never changed, and the lying will continue. And we, the American people, have the ability to stop that at the ballot box this November, to make sure that these lies don't get into the Oval Office. So anyway, very well done by Daniel Dale and CNN. Thankful that they're dedicating time to fact-checking him. And man, his spiral continues. And I think we're all very much enjoying watching it. So anyway, I will leave the video there. Just wanted to show you this. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Make sure to drop a like on the video as well and comment. Let me know what you think about all of this. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.